Warning: listening to this podcast for prolonged periods of time may cause severe brain damage and cognitive dissonance. All names have been changed to protect the innocent and insane.
When I finally talked myself completely out of breath, I was surprised to find that Mark wasn't surprised at all. He told me that in the late 90s, the letters were making their way around the internet, and that someone had contacted him way back then about them. So, are they real?
Misty was a girl. 77 degrees sounds great. It's 89 here just now. It's not even 11 in the morning. Yesterday it got to 102. No, Jackie was the redheaded gal. She never worked. I always knew not working would be bad for her. A woman ought to know how to do things. Jackie didn't know how to do much. When her Frank passed, she didn't even know whether the house they lived in was paid for. Frank was her husband. Do you remember Frank? Like I always say, a woman ought to know things. I do remember Patty. You always had to keep a yardstick between her and your purse and your husband. And all her spirituality mumbo-jumbo was obnoxious, although she was a very talented artist. Does she still do those pet portraits? If you have her number, I might get in touch and see if she would do a portrait of Misty. Do you think she would give me a discount?
December 7th, 1988. Mark, there is a letter for you from Rob in this envelope. I am sorry you are making me turn things over to him, but it seems to me that this is the only way I'm going to get back my security deposit from you, plus interest, plus everything else you owe me. I don't want to sue you in small claims court, so why don't you just pay me what you owe me? We aren't working at the Christmas Tree Farm anymore. That job didn't work out so good. The Christmas Tree Farm had to go out of business, so now Rob and I have time to work on all this security deposit stuff. Rob and me are thinking about moving back to the Bay Area. If you haven't already rent my house to someone else, I might be interested in renting again. Maybe you could give me a deal for being a repeat customer or something? Yours, Karen. P.S. Don't throw out the cat painting. If you throw it out, you will have...
December 7th, 1988. Dear Mr. Mark, Karen has shown me your letters to her. Karen has also shown me her letters to you. It seems that you do not intend to return Karen's security deposit to us. Karen has asked me to be her legal representative. Karen wants a check from you in the next 10 days. Karen wants her security deposit back. Karen also wants the interest on her deposit for the 15 months Karen was your tenant. Karen wants you to pay the 34.4% a year interest you agreed to pay. If Karen does not receive a check from you in the next 10 days, Karen will sue you in small claims court. Karen hopes you'll pay up. Karen would prefer not to go to court. Karen would also like her cat painting back. Karen would like $200 for the cat painting if you do not give it back. Karen would like one or the other, or both, also in the next 10 days. 10 days means December 18th, or maybe 19th, depending on when you get this letter from me. Legally yours, Mr. Rob Esquire, legal advisor to Karen.
December 11th, 1988. Dear Karen, before you initiate a suit in Portland Small Claims Court for the refund of a security deposit on a house in Oakland, California, I strongly advise you to first go speak to your family lawyer. And I don't mean Rob. I've tried repeatedly, and unsuccessfully, to explain to you the concept of jurisdiction. Portland, Oregon Small Claims Court has no jurisdiction in California. Sincerely, Mark.
December 15th, 1988. Dear Mr. Mark, Karen showed me your letter to her. Karen still wants her security deposit back plus interest. In my legal opinion, the question of jurisdiction is a moot point, which means you still owe Karen the money. See Roe versus Wade. On another matter, Karen and me are no longer working at the Christmas tree farm. Do you think your uncle in Boston could get me into his law school? Legally yours, Mr. Rob Esquire, legal advisor to Karen.
December 15th, 1988. Dear Mark, Karen, Rob, and I need jobs. We all got fired from the Christmas tree farm. There was an accident at the Christmas tree farm, and they blamed Rob. It wasn't really his fault, if you ask me. It could have happened to anyone. I wasn't even there, but they fired me too. Can you imagine? Anyway, the owner of the Christmas tree farm wasn't very nice about it. He wouldn't give us letters of recommendation. He didn't even give us 2 weeks' notice. He just fired us. And now we found out that we can't collect unemployment insurance just because Karen and Rob didn't work long enough at the Christmas tree farm to collect unemployment insurance. Anyway, could you or any of your landlord friends hire us? You said you hire people all the time to work on your house. Rob can do stuff with electricity. Karen is very practical and good with numbers. I'm not practical. I'm an artist. I could decorate your houses, and I worked for a short while in a pickle factory. Well, if you can think of any jobs that we would be good for, let me know. Bye. Your tenant, Ellen.
December 22nd, 1988. Dear Mark, my father told me you are right. He says I can't sue you in Portland for my deposit. He wasn't talking to me for the last 2 weeks. He was mad at me for getting fired from that Christmas tree farm. But I can't tell you about that, except that I don't think it was really our fault. Anyway, supposing you're right, then I would have to sue you in Oakland. But Oakland is almost 300 miles from Portland. So I would appreciate it if you would do me a favor. Would you go to wherever you go and get me forms to fill out so I can sue you and send them to me? If there aren't any instructions for the forms, would you tell me what to do? This is the first time I've ever sued someone, and I really don't know what I'm doing. Yours, Karen.
December 18th, 1988. Dear Karen, I am not going to respond to letters from Rob. He was not a tenant of mine, and he is not qualified to act as your, quote, legal representative, notwithstanding the fact that Rob is still seriously thinking about applying to law school. Don't you know that there are serious penalties for practicing law without a license? I'm not sending you any money, and you cannot sue me in this case in Portland. Jurisdiction is not a mute point, or a moot point either, in a matter like this. By the way, the issue in the case Roe versus Wade was abortion, not jurisdiction. Mark. December 26th, 1988. Dear Karen, before sending me any more letters, read and reread this letter, and then don't send me any more letters. 1. I am not going to help you sue me. 2. I am not going to pick up any forms or advise you how to fill them out so you can sue me. Note well. 3. I am not going to send you any money. 4. I am not going to accept the cat painting or anything else as a trade or inducement to send you money. 5. I am not going to re-rent your former residence to you. 6. I'm not going to rent anything to you. Ever. 7. I am not going to respond to letters from your legal representative, Rob. 8. I am not going to ask my uncle to admit Rob to his or any other law school. Very sincerely, Mark.
January 1st, 1989. Dear Mr. Mark, Karen read your last letter. Karen still wants her security deposit back, plus interest. Karen feels that you are not being fair with her, and that you have used the jurisdiction loophole too many times already. Karen left her house clean. Karen gave you 30 days written notice before she left. None of us broke anything in Karen's house on purpose. It is almost 800 miles from Karen's house in Portland to the Oakland Small Claims Court in Oakland, but only 5 miles from your house in Berkeley. Karen feels that you are being unfair by your refuse to go to the Oakland courthouse and fill out a complaint against yourself so Karen can sue you. It is only a small favor Karen is asking you to do, and Karen is willing to allow you to deduct the cost of filing the complaint from her security deposit refund. At this point, I do not see any way that my client Karen can sue you for the refund of her security deposit unless you cooperate. Legally yours, Mr. Rob Esquire, legal advisor to Karen.
January 2nd, 1989. Dear Karen, on December 2nd, 1988, I sent you a letter in which I stated that you had 30 days to pick up your cat painting or I would have it taken to the city dump. This letter is to inform you that I had your cat painting taken to the dump this morning, as you have made no effort to pick up this painting during the last 30 days. I will not charge you for the hauling or dump fees. Now, before you ask, let me assure you that I am not going to pay you any compensation for the lost value of this painting, if indeed it has any. As far as I'm concerned, your cat painting is what I call visual ipecac. Ipecac is a South American plant whose extract is used to induce vomiting. Undoubtedly, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Therefore, let me just explain that the cat painting is gone forever and I'm not paying you anything for its loss. Sincerely, Mark.
January 3rd, 1989. Dear Mark, I've been studying the letters you sent Karen a few days ago, and I've been thinking about it. If you won't send Karen's security deposit back to her, why don't you just send it to me instead? Then I can split the money with Karen when your check arrives. That way everybody is happy. You know, Mark, if you don't mind my saying so, your letters to Karen lately have been sounding a little unfriendly. This can give you bad karma. You should try meditating before you write letters. It's very soothing, and meditating is very chic right now. And speaking of bad karma, Karen says that she heard that they're building a doomed baseball stadium in your hometown of Baltimore. Talk about bad karma. Your tenant, Ellen.
January 3rd, 1989. Dear Mark, well, you sure were right about one thing in your last letter. I have no idea what you were talking about. I don't want some stupid plant that makes people vomit. I'm not dumb, you know. I just want back my security deposit. Rob says that he thought your letter was insulting. Ellen isn't sure. I think you may have been joking, but if you were, I didn't get it. But let's get down to business. So now, in addition to everything else you owe me, you also owe me $197, which is almost $200 that Ellen paid for the cat painting. And what about the mermaid clock we left? Ellen thinks it's a real old valuable antique. Karen.
Cut! I don't have any more time for this. Leslie! Leslie! Where's Leslie?
Well, no, no, but wait, you said you found Ellen. Or you thought you did.
Well, yeah. That's a different. We'll get to that.
Let's move forward. We'll get
the
back
more research that I do, the more unsure about everything.
Yeah, the more it makes sense, the less it makes sense.
Yeah. So this Karen and Rob, as we know them, as we think this is them, right? This was our best clue. Her email to you, blah blah blah. So if that is her, this is Rob because she was married to him.
Okay.
Right.
And they share the same.
He comes from a wealthy family.
Okay.
I found his family. She had it. Oh, sorry. That daughter was her daughter from a previous marriage. And then they had one son together. So she had 2 kids from a previous marriage, and then they had one son together. And that's how I found out that for sure he was married to her, because at their son's wedding, there's a picture of Karen.
Okay, so I'm just trying to, like, it makes sense, but it doesn't, because that's Karen, who I've been emailing with, who is, like, confirmed she is the Karen.
Uh-huh.
And she's married to someone with the same last name, who comes from a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. I can't find anything on her.
Well, but then also, like, they're, 12 years too old, and they have kids at the time.
Yeah. 1, maybe 2. Because she would have had 2. She would have had the first son, because that was from her previous marriage.
Okay, I need a minute to marinate on that. Let's talk about the Ellen you found who is not a child of Karen.
Okay. So, I look at the records of who lived in the house, and, going through, there's one Karen on there.
Okay.
Right? But the first thought was, like, the Karen that's on there, the age was off, I think. I can't remember why I counted her out.
And that was not email Karen, I guess is what we should call.
Right. Oh, no, she had no connection to Portland. That's why I counted her out.
Okay.
Or something like that. I can't remember why. I was like, no, that's not our Karen. Well, no, I had her name. You gave me her name.
Yeah.
And that wasn't her, right?
Okay.
So, and I'm looking, and there's no Ellens on the list. But there's this name that's, like, super Jewish.
Okay.
Just like Ellen's name was, right? And I'm like, would it really be that, like that? And I started looking at her, and she has lived in the Portland area. She has lived in Seattle. She currently lives in the area now, actually. And she, as I was going through, I'm going to send you this picture, and you're going to die. She's kind of artistic. She's into the, natural healing, and I'm like, okay, that's feeling very Ellen-like. And then I find this art project, which is literally prints of fish just laid out across the floor.
Shut up!
Dead serious. You'll die when you see it. It's just like, I was like, oh my God, she's got PTSD from watching the fish. She's created this art project from it.
Broke her poor
and I was like,
little
this
heart.
has got to be her.
Okay, so wait,
it's got to be her.
She definitely lived in the apartment or the cottage.
She definitely lived there.
She has roots.
Portland roots. She was not born there.
Okay.
But she has lived there. She lives in the Seattle. She's a Northwest person.
And she is an artist who's into
natural healing, not,
She paints fish.
And she
come on, there's no way that's not Ellen.
Seriously.
How old is she?
She's the right age. She's like my age. And I'm about like Karen and Ellen's age.
Does she have any connections to Mike to email Karen?
No. I can't find any connection to your email Karen at all.
And they have different last names.
Yeah. So, like, if these are real people, either your email Karen, and I'll call him email Rob, had baby Ellen and he made her older.
Mm-hmm.
Or Fish Ellen or Fish Ellen had a roommate that we don't know about because I can't tell who lived in the house when. She might have had a roommate. For all we know, she lived with them, but we can't place them. But that would be weird because they were married and they had, or maybe there's another Karen out there that we don't know about. Or maybe, these aren't real letters, which I don't want to believe.
Sorry,
I'm less and less
looking
sure.
at the fish picture now, and it's amazing.
I know, right?
And I found her Facebook profile, and so the first thing that comes to mind, which is superficial, is she's very beautiful.
Yeah.
Which it goes against what Mark had said about her.
Right.
But this on paper, if you presented this as factually Ellen,
Mm-hmm.
no one
would totally
would
believe.
Yeah, no one would argue that.
Yeah.
I just this is a lot of information. So okay.
Yeah, and none of it confirms anything.
Well, and it's they don't match up. It's two different timelines.
Right.
I'm just.
And then I found a possible pickle family. Did I tell you this?
No.
I found a possible pickle family, but I can't find any connection to any of our players.
Okay.
And I've been aside from the fact that they were possibly Jewish. That's the only connection I can find.
Okay, so let's put Fish Ellen to the side for a minute and assume Email Karen and Rob either were significantly older when they lived there, or Mark changed the timeline for whatever reason and they actually lived there in the 70s. Is that possible?
That they lived there in the 70s? Yeah, that is definitely possible.
I mean, so Roger Rabbit and George Bush then are nullified, but those are both Ellen letters. So if Email Karen and Rob are the real Karen and Rob, either they lived there in the 70s and Ellen was a child, which makes a lot of her letters contextually make sense.
But wait, let me check. But I think Karen was married to someone else. Married, 1973. She was married to somebody else. Well, that's 73. Sorry,
when did she
later.
marry?
Let me find it. 82. So late 80s, it could have been, 80s, 90s. They got a marriage license in 82.
So if they lived there in 81, 82, how old does that make them?
Born in 54.
So 27, 28.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Which
she
is still
has,
a lot older than.
yeah, and she has kids.
Yeah. Yeah, her daughter would have been 8. Yeah, like I said, 7, 8.
Okay, so let's
late
say
80s.
Then they lived there in the early 80s, and one of her kids from a previous marriage is Ellen. So here's what's throwing me off is Email Karen has verified to me that she is the Karen from the letters.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't connect her back to the cottage, right?
Right. You can't connect her or Rob.
But we can connect Fish Ellen back.
Yes.
But we can't connect her to Email Karen, and also just logistically, the two of them living together doesn't add up.
Right.
Hello, Seekers. I am Patricia. I am a visionary, and I have empathy toward the pain in the world, but also the joy in the world. Meaningful, lasting change will occur as human by human, as animal by animal. We raise our consciousness above that which cares for the self alone. toward what is best for all beings, all people, all animals, and our great mother, Earth. Seekers, I present two things for you now. I present my own perspective on the runes, as read psychically and as a way of life. The runes present an ancient system of understanding ourselves as human beings in relationship to the world. I also create pet portraits as an act of beauty I can offer to others through my own unique talents. Those of us who love our animals enjoy quality pet portraits, as art serves to immortalize the joy we take in our animals. Let us navigate our soul maps together and with our animal friends to converge with our inner selves and with our mother, Earth.
Hi, I'm Dan Leone. So last year I set my life on fire. It was a life I hated, so I finally just got in my car and started driving, with no plan and no destination. And now I document those debauched wanderings in a show called Podcast Meander, which features an ever-evolving format, from musical journalism to political docufiction to outright lies. Check it out at podcastmeander.com or iTunes or wherever you download podcasts.